What's the motherfucking deal? Yeah, we talking about y'all, man. We talking bad about y'all and how y'all be acting with the nonsense of the tomfoolery. But what's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Soph Sports. If you're not familiar with Soph Sports, is the Houston, Texas Homer Network. Means we talking all sports, but only Houston. This is primarily the Texan channel. If you want that other sports talk, if you want that Astros, I know y'all want that Astros, Dynamos, Dash, Rockets, all that other good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to Soph Sports TV. Shout out to Hector, man, because he's been holding it down in a major way for Soph Sports TV, so I sincerely appreciate that. But man, like I said, we're gonna get to this Colts versus Texans versus Colts, however you want to fucking whatever order, don't fucking matter. Pregame show, and we're gonna talk about it, man. A lot to unpack from this game today because I mean, like I said, it's very important. But we got two gentlemen from the round getting down with us today, man. Who we got in the mix this morning?
What's good, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Spitz. What's the deal?
Already. Who else we got in the mix?
It's too much sauce.
Third Coast Sports TV. Wing in the building. Hey, Altuve putting on the show. It's up to the Texans now to go ahead and finish the job, nigga, so we can finish baking this cake.
Already. Man, Ashman, appreciate the love. So let's drop our nuts on the coast like the Astros did the Yankees. Exactly. And then the Texans got to take a page out of the book of the motherfucking Astros. You know, they're a bit braggadocious. They're extremely confident, but they don't give a shit. They back that shit up, and that's ultimately what matters. You know, Texans, they try to be too nice. Now, we know certain entities want them to be humble and be reserved, and I can understand that, but I don't give a shit about it. This is a rivalry game, man. Fuck that. Like I say, you got to get out there and make it do what the fuck it do. So, like I said, let's get into a couple of things. Like I said, I know I got started a little bit late, so we're going to get some shit in order, and then we're gonna make this thing jump off. So the first thing I want to get into, though, is, let me make sure I got this set up properly, is that I want to take a look at the current team standings. And what I mean by that, just kind of overall rankings within the league. And so, let's pull that up real quick. So right now, the 2019 season, the Colts have only played 5 games. They had a bye week last week. Texans played 6 at 4-2. Colts at 3-2. So just taking a quick look at the Colts right now, just running it down. In points, they're 15th in the league. Yards, they're 23rd in the league per game. It's 344. Passing yards, 27th with 202. Fourth with 142 rushing yards. Then as far as defensively, they're giving up 23 a game, which should be right in the Texans' wheelhouse. They're giving up 355.2 a game. The passing yards are giving up 242 a game, and they're giving up 113 in a rush, which is basically they're a middle of the pack defense. Everything is just right under 15th, 17th, 16th, 18th, and 19th. That's crazy. It's almost in order. And offensively, the only thing that they're really relevant in, that they're not in the bottom half of the league yet, is rushing, with being fourth in rushing yards, 142. Now the Texans, on the other hand, have jumped up, especially from the last. Really, the Atlanta game gave them a huge boost, but last week also was a plus. Probably could have been a lot better had a couple of catches been made. And so they're sitting 8th in the league as far as scoring with 27 a game. They're 6th in the league with 396.8 yards a game. 10th with 257 passing yards a game, and they're 5th, just under the Colts, with 139.8 rushing yards a game. Now the defense, still not necessarily where you want them to be. 16th, giving up 22.3 points. They're 18th, giving up 356 yards a game. They're 24th, giving up 268 passing yards a game. And they're 8th in the rush, giving up 88 yards a game. Now, I personally feel like that the rushing is deceptive because especially when you look at that Atlanta game, because, it put them in a position where they didn't really run. We know that the Chiefs, they don't run. So I think that the rushing yards are deceptive. I have questions when it comes to certain running backs. And my big thing with this week is the last time we saw Marlon Mack, it wasn't a good look. Regular season last year, we contained him. I think he actually missed one game, if I'm not mistaken. But then playoff game, he went off. He was the only 100-yard rusher, I think, that we had on the Texans last year. So I'm going to start with Spitz, man. Your thoughts just kind of overall statistically where these two teams stand. What does that tell you about what we need to be looking for kind of going into this game?
I think the game plan should be the opposite of last week, and I think we should come out there early and show our dominance by making this a game where the Colts have to go out there and score. Because I don't think if it turned to a track race, they can't keep up with us. But they can play ball control offense like how they did the Chiefs, and that's something that that we need to be weary of. So we don't need to be in the game that we need to be slugging it out with them, because if the game is close, you don't want. This is one of those type of teams, just like the Jazz game and just like the Panthers game. Then the Blues, you don't want to keep this game close, because the closer the game this is, the more trouble that you have of losing. When it's a low scoring game, this is one of those games that you have the chance of losing if it's low scoring and close. You need to go out there early and show your dominance, because we're averaging like 28 points on the road, or something like that. Like we're able to put points up on the board, especially on the road. I don't know what is going on in NRG, but things outside, we're able to score on everybody. So that's something that we need to do, because if we're able to put points up, they cannot keep up with us.
I definitely can agree with that. Wait, man, your thoughts? What are these, these statistical standings, comparing these both teams? What is that telling you, man? And do you have any concerns about Mac in the last time we saw him?
The reason why I'm not as concerned about Mac and I'm more concerned about Nyheim Hines is because he can catch out of the backfield and really do some damage because of his physical, his physical attributes. He's the type of running back that we can stop. He had an outlier game against an injured Riddle football team that didn't have Will Fuller, that didn't have Darren Fells, that didn't have tight ends being targeted, that didn't have an O-line playing much better than they did, and a much better running back group. So when you take those things in the equation, and the fact that over the last few weeks you've had Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel willing to play to the strengths of the football team and actually let them close out the games when needed, I see no reason why we don't go into this game and the same happens for this football team. To Spitz's point, we have played exceptionally well, almost flawless on the road, with the exception of the last 37 seconds of the game where Romeo Cornell has a brain fart and Aaron Coleman completely puts us in a situation where we lose that game, and he's immediately shipped out of Houston because of it. So now that you no longer have that issue, and the fact that the secondary has played better, and I've listened to a lot of Colts channels. 107.5 was probably the most respectable. They gave the Houston Texans probably the most credit out of any Colts, YouTube station that I heard, podcast that I heard throughout the week. And one of the things that they kind of harped on was the fact that even though we're very high against the run as far as stopping the run, is misleading as to what the yards per carry that we allow, which is like 5 yards a carry. Well, you have to take in consideration the running backs that we played. Not only have we played some of the best running backs that are, in the top 5, top 10 discussion, we played some of the best, statistically, the best quarterbacks, like wide receivers. Who's played better wide receiver groups than we played throughout the entire season so far? We went for week to week to week to week. I don't think anybody else is even comparable to what we've done and the adversity that we've had to overcome, especially over the last 2 weeks. Sanu, Ridley, and Julio to be paired along with Devontae Freeman and Hooper, and then you turn right back around and you got Shady, you got the guy who was behind him, Williams, who they sparingly used. You had Kelsey and Tyreek Hill was back, and Mahomes is the best, statistically on the season as far as passing goes. I don't see how the Indianapolis Colts do anything offensively to stop that. We're playing gap assignment football. We are stopping the run. Yeah, and a lot of those yards are misconstrued because of what the total yards were able to do with Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. You take that away, dudes with the archetype that Marlon Mack has, when you put in Fournette, who's top 3 in the league right now at 500-something yards, you put in Austin Eckler, who was balling at the time, to have Justin Jackson behind him, and then we go against Devontae Freeman and Shady. Bro, those are all great quarterbacks. How that team chooses to use those quarterbacks are no concern to the Houston Texans. It's not our fault that they value the pass more than they value the run. It's not our fault that they don't value time of possession and taking our best players off the field when it counts, when they know we're slaughtering them on offense. So, there are a few stats, but the key stat right now is Deshaun Watson's the best quarterback in the league in the red zone, and he's the best at third down. So and they're one of the worst teams at stopping third down. So why am I to be worried about Indianapolis Colts team who's still riddled, who's getting players who haven't played back in weeks, and somehow they're just supposed to come out against the Houston Texans and just do whatever they want to do because they got Quentin Nelson on the other side of the football? I don't see it.
So here's the deal. Kind of segueing into that, and that's a good point. We're talking about quarterbacks. I want to take a quarterback comparison, looking at these two quarterbacks and what they're both bringing to the table currently. And so what you have is Jacoby Brissett, I guess, basically being a game manager. He's giving you 168 attempts. He's giving you right under 65% completion. Only has 1,000 yards, a little over 1,000 yards, 1,062 yards. But he's giving you 10 touchdowns to go along with 3 interceptions. I think he has a rushing touchdown also. Then you have Deshaun Watson with 201 attempts, but still giving you right under 70% completion, which is excellent. 1,644 yards, 11 TDs, 3 interceptions, and 2 of those came. Last week he was actually on a nice path until last week. And again, we can talk about how that all ended up. It is what it is. INTs are INTs to go along with a few rushing touchdowns himself. So looking at these two guys, I would say we already know who is the better of the two quarterbacks. But when you want to talk overall protection, and we got a couple of injuries with the Texans, I personally don't feel like it's that big of a drop off from Titus Howard to Roger Johnson. I know a lot of people are making a huge deal about it. I just don't. I really don't see it. Y'all can say it's hating or whatever. People can argue all kind of shit this week that doesn't make sense. It's not that big of a drop off. Howard is performing better than maybe initially expected, but then the argument in some of y'all come with that nonsense was that he was supposed to be an LT early in this year. Nobody thought that he was going to be a quality LT, and none of y'all were really that confident. Then Tunsil comes along, and all of a sudden, oh, y'all said this. We never, nobody was talking. We've been said that he should be moved to the right side.
Right.
A lot of said he probably would have done better in the interior, which he started out as because the Texans didn't know what they wanted to do with him. But anyway, that's another argument, another conversation. So there's not a big drop off in protection, but we know what the Colts O-line brings. We know that they are pretty capable of keeping their quarterbacks upright. They're capable of getting the push when we're talking about Mac. Start with Wink, and then we'll get the spits on this, man. Looking at these two quarterbacks and both of their skill sets, we know who Watson is. He kind of put himself in that conversation last week for the MVP. Is there any area in which Jacoby Brissett surpasses Watson in skill set?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's nothing he does that's better than Watson. He doesn't read the field better. He's not a better deliverer of the football. And really take in consideration the way that a lot of his passes are under 20 yards. The vast majority of his passes are under 20 yards. So the fact that he's being able to complete passes and guys are able to break away from guys in the open field and score touchdowns is due mainly to the fact that guys are playmakers and the defenses that these guys have played have been undisciplined. So you have to take all that in consideration when you're talking about the success of what you have against the Indianapolis Colts. They couldn't even beat a Raiders team, and we have a similar defense to what they have. We have a similar defense to the Colts. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're playing hard-nosed football. It's up to these defensive coordinators to make sure that they put these guys in the right positions. But he's not even now. Now, when people were making the whole Mahomes is light years ahead of Watson. No. They're on an even playing field. No one is higher than the other. And the fact that Deshaun Watson just came in his house and beat him in his own house, regardless of how it had to be done, the game plan was effective. It was effective, and it was carried out the way it was supposed to. That has nothing to do. Patrick Mahomes doesn't play defense. Deshaun Watson doesn't play defense. What the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't stop Deshaun Watson from doing what he wanted to do the whole game. Carlos Hyde doesn't get that fumble. We're not even talking about. We're talking about a 21, maybe a 21-point game instead of a 24-point game that they end up having for the Kansas City Chiefs. So when I look at that, I'm just like, bro, it's a lot of tight games. Like I think they had problems with the Falcons when they played them. They've had problems with teams that is just not being talked about because they're at home against the Indianapolis Colts, and the only thing that they can think about is what T.Y. Hilton has done in the past with Andrew Luck, mind you. He don't have Andrew Luck no more. Now, I understand he has the most touchdowns on the team because he's breaking away and he's doing a lot of things that I just said. He's doing in the middle of the field, and dudes are not covering him the way that they should. If they get in his face, if they press him off the line of scrimmage, he's nobody. He's been dealing with injuries all season. Ebron's game has went down dramatically since Andrew Luck has been off of the field. The line has played and excelled up to expectations, and they're more of a run-based team, and they're doing everything they can to neutralize the mistakes from Jacoby Brissett. They don't believe in Jacoby Brissett to take him 70 yards down the field the way that we believe in Deshaun Watson if the game is on the line. Let's just put everything in its proper perspective and just know Jacoby Brissett is nowhere near Deshaun Watson in talent, accuracy, playmaking ability, scrambling, picking up the blitz, reading, reacting, and winning games. It's no disrespect to him. It's no disrespect to Colts fans. They know what it is. Come on, man. Jacoby Brissett is a good player, but he ain't no fucking Deshaun Watson. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right. Spitz, looking at the two comparing again, this is a severe drop-off, like I said, from Luck to Brissett. But again, we know that under the leadership of Bill O'Brien, there is yet to be a victory against Jacoby Brissett. But we know Deshaun Watson and what he brings, and I think that's a different element. But looking at these two quarterbacks, what would you say, the strengths and weaknesses of each compared to one another? Is there anything that you could see Brissett maybe excelling in compared to Deshaun Watson?
If it's one thing that he does better is that he doesn't hold out for a big play all the time and takes a profit that he mostly thinks and dunks. Like, I mean, Deshaun did that last week, but because of the game plan, so maybe that like he's not always looking for a big play, and so he'll take the 5 yard here, the 7 yards there, instead of trying to get the 15 to 20 yards. And I just think that's more so off of talent because he doesn't have the capability to make the big plays like Andrew Luck will be able to, like a Deshaun can, and Mahomes and things, other quarterbacks who can't make big plays. So other than that, but no, I mean let's be real. I mean Deshaun's on pace to be throw for over 4,500 yards, throw for over 35 touchdowns, rush for over 10 touchdowns, and rush for 500 yards. I mean he's on the MVP. He's on the MVP track, and this is what you want. This is what you get. You put yourself into one of the top 3 of the MVP candidates. You have to prove this week in and week out. You can't. There's no time for no drop off. There's no days off. No days off. You have to prove every single game that you're the MVP. So that started last week. So you have to continue to go in this week against Indy, next week against Oakland, the week after that in London, then after that against Baltimore. You have to keep it going every single week. There's no days off, so you have to continue to prove that. I mean, like I said, all the weapons that we have, there's no reason why Deshaun shouldn't go out there today and show his ass against this Colts team.
I agree, and I agree. What you said is especially important, especially in the eyes of the media when it comes to the MVP, because we have this "What have you done for me lately" league, and all it takes is somebody to have. It doesn't even have to be a big game, but a relatively mediocre, decent game, and people are going to be like, "Oh, this guy's in the conversation now. This guy's in the conversation now." Especially being way down here in Houston, we know how the media treats this shit. We just like say, speaking of the Astros, if you've been watching that series, them motherfuckers was dick riding the Yankees the entire series. They dick rode Tampa Bay. It was like they were just rooting. They wanted anybody but the Astros to win it. So we've talked about the national media in Houston, how they treat it. So if Deshaun wants to remain in that conversation, yes, he is going to have to perform game in and game out. Now, I want to get to
look how long it took for them to give Hop his credit.
Yeah,
Hop was putting up numbers with trash quarterbacks year after year. It took forever for them to finally say that Hop was Hop. Exactly. Like it took them forever to give Hop his credit. I think the only person, same thing with Dre. It took Dre forever to get his credit. Like nobody gets their credit down there.
People saw Andre Johnson for what he was. They knew he was going to be spectacular, and I say for Andre, it only really took like 3 years, really, because people. But by the time it got to like 08, 09. People knew what it was. Then, Calvin,
I still don't feel like he got his level of respect though, because I mean, with the big number was the TD thing, and a lot of you had catch factor. Nobody was watching Houston games. Let's be honest. Nobody watched those games until they were kind of in that playoff conversation. Nobody's watching the game. They just saw the stat line. Oh, he's put up these big yards, or he's making these receptions, but where's the TDs? And so that was that conversation. Right. We knew hands down. People who played against him knew hands down when they saw him, play. But as far as the rest of the nation, they weren't paying no attention to the text. So I don't know if I felt like Josh ever really got his full due. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think he's criminally underrated. So it's gonna be really interesting.
And the we seen what Deshaun did the first 6 games, and then we seen what he did all last year. Who idea was it to come into the season and say that Baker Mayfield is better than Deshaun Watson? I don't know what football. I don't know what football they was watching. Yeah. I don't know, because I'm like, what did Baker do? His rookie year, he didn't do shit. I mean, he played decent, but it was nothing that you could say he was better than Deshaun did.
It's a lot of puffer fish eating, poison drinking. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what type of chemical imbalance a lot of these guys have when they thought that he was going to be able to do more than what Deshaun Watson has done, and then the fact that we thrashed him, we gave him a good old spanking. Get on over here, boy. You know what I'm saying? We already we know what it was.
But the thing is,
inside his head, and it was nothing that he could do.
But it's funny, the narratives that they trying to use is the shit that Deshaun went through the majority of his first 2 seasons. Well, the line is he still has a better line than what Deshaun Watson had in his first 2 fucking seasons. He has more weapons than what Deshaun Watson had in his first 2 seasons. Yep. Again. And more, he's just trash. The dude is garbage. We don't, but we don't hear that narrative of he hold the ball too long, or it's funny too. I want to talk about that before we switch over to the pass rushers and thing, or the sack leaders. It's funny that narrative about Deshaun Watson holding the ball too long has all of a sudden disappeared. So you're just telling me overnight he just stopped holding the ball, or maybe it was the play calling, because you've noticed a significant change in the play calling. You've noticed a significant change in the level of protection, and we can talk about the talent he's faced and all that other stuff. But you see that conversation is gone. It's gone down by over half a second, and because the decision making is there, because guys are getting open, because the play calling are not drawing these long developing routes. They're putting guys in a position where he can get the ball out of his hands quickly, and he's not having to dance around, because by the time the route develops, now he's got to dance around because the line has lost protection, and he's having to make something happen. It's funny how that narrative has changed so quickly. A lot of people want to put blame on this. He just holds the ball too long, because he fucking had to. But now, and this is something I wanted to mention too, I think that, a lot of people say, well, Bill O'Brien's still calling the plays. Yes, he is. But you have to notice is, last week in the presser after the game, Deshaun Watson made note to reference multiple times Tim Kelly. What Tim Kelly, we talked to Tim Kelly, and Tim and Bill O'Brien wanted to do what Tim Kelly was. And you notice that multiple times.
I did.
But Tim Kelly has a hand in this game plan. Bill O'Brien might still be calling the plays, but Tim Kelly is the guy that's coming up with this game plan. So my thing is, because otherwise he wouldn't have made a point to reference him as many times as he did.
As much as he did if he wasn't involved.
Yes, he made a note to do so. So like I say, so you guys see that the change in the game plan, the change in the approach has allowed Watson to be himself. Because again, like that narrative was, he holds the ball for 4 seconds, which is ridiculous. Nobody's holding the ball for 4 seconds, not with that line and not with that level of protection. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Not purposely.
Yeah, I mean, let's get to the
like we would do that
to the sack leaders of one of these teams, man. We know who's still holding it down. As far as Merciless is still a man, I think many of you only had that strip sack last week, so the numbers haven't been as great the last couple of weeks. And Merciless didn't really have the greatest game last week. But you have for the Colts, their sack leader is D'Amico Autry, where he has 13 overall tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. We know Merciless numbers are looking relatively the same. Didn't have a big game last week, so still 19 tackles, 5 sacks, 5 TFLs, 4 forced fumbles, and an INT. So, I think that he's going to be a threat. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see against this Colts line, because, again, if the one strength that you can give the Colts is that offensive line, and that's simply because of the cohesion that they've had, over the last couple of seasons. The Texans still playing, mix and match hodgepodge, and now with Howard out. So, again, it's another different looking lineup. I think they had maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks where they actually had mostly the same lineup. Greg Mack's still out with a concussion. That's pretty interesting. And then they went and put Henderson on. Did they put Henderson on IR?
Yes,
they went back and picked up Chris Clark again. I know fan favorite Chris Clark, so I know all of y'all are extremely happy that he's back. So that's very interesting. So looking at this pass rush, we'll start with Spitz, man. Like, is there anything about the Colts and what their defense overall, we'll say, presents that makes you have some questions, that make you concerned about going against this going against the Texans, and kind of vice versa, the Texans defense versus the Colts offensive line?
I think Wichita still be a problem, but I think the Texans can make plays on this defense, because I think we have the talent to make plays on this defense. I think the Texans can make plays on this defense if they attack them early. Don't allow them to get confidence. Well, once his defense gets confidence and starts rolling, and then you give the ball back to Indianapolis, and they try to control the clock, that's when you find yourself in scary situations. I think if we come out there early, no matter if we get the ball first or get the ball second, hit them, punch them in the mouth. Yeah, punch them in the mouth. I'm pretty sure more than likely when they get the ball, when the Colts get the ball, that the first possession is going to be more than likely a 3 and out. So when the Texans get the ball, you have to go out there and punch them in the mouths early, set the tone of the game, and let them know that we not bullshitting down here, and put them in a situation that they don't want to be in. Put them in an uncomfortable situation. Don't allow them to put us in an uncomfortable situation.
I agree with that. Yep. And it really is what it is. It's about setting that tone. on both sides of the ball. And we're gonna talk about kicking issues in a minute. We'll get to that in just a minute. But Wink, your thoughts, man. This defense versus the Colts line, and then vice versa. That Colts defense versus the Texas line. Knowing that we got a couple of injuries, is there anything that concerns you? Looking at going both ways.
I mean, if we're going by just off of history, Jabal Sheard and Danico Autry are definitely a problem for the Houston Texans. I think the fact that you got Darius Leonard back and the fact that he's able to get back in, he's going to be able to play some solid coverage. He's going to be able to put, his front seven in the right position to make sure that the right players are dialed in. But besides their front four, maybe their front seven, and maybe Darius Leonard, I'm not concerned about the back end really at all. I mean, Desir, he might end up having a good game against Hopkins, but good luck with Steels, QT, Fales, Akins, Hyde, Johnson, and Fuller. Good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. Double him, take him out the game all you want. I want you to play man, because if you do play man, it's over for everybody. I want that so bad. You're going to have to play zone. You're going to have to play a lot of zone blitz. You're going to have to overload. You're going to have to spy all game. That's only taking another person out who can end up making the play. If we end up with checking and releasing, if we run more screens, which I think we should do, get Duke Johnson and the tight ends extremely involved in this football game. You do that, who the hell is about to cover Darren Fells on this football team? Let's be real. You think Darren Fells is going to be able to? You think Darius Leonard is going to be able to jump with Darren Fells in the end zone? You think he's going to be able to do that? Not after what I just seen, how he's snatching the ball out of that. No, bro, it's not happening. It's not happening. Ebron's not playing up to the level that they need. But I'm talking about our offense versus their defense, bro. We can exploit them on matchups and kill them underneath all game if we want to. We don't even have to go deep. Control the tempo. Keep Quentin Nelson off the field. Keep Marlon Mack off the field. Keep them off the field. You keep them two off the field, and then you taking care of business of T.Y. T.Y., I think he's going to get his regardless. I think it's going to be a couple of plays Marlon Mack is going to be able to get. But as far as what their defense is going to be able to do, bro, they're going to have a problem with Deshaun Watson if Tim Kelly is thoroughly involved in this game plan and they choose to do the things that we are suggesting. Or lean on the screen game. Who's going to come up and play physical in the screen game if we get out and Roger Johnson or Laramie Tunsil is getting out on the island and blocking the hell out of these dudes? I don't see it. The major keys for me in this game, the tight ends and Duke Johnson specifically. Get this man involved in the flat, get him involved on option routes, get him involved on wheel routes. They ain't gonna be able to, man, come on, man. They're not gonna be able to handle that.
All right. Let's jump to the next comparison real quick. Let's go ahead and look at this running back situation. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I know we're finna start getting close to the what's called. But just comparing Mack and what he's done compared to, Hyde and what he's done. And again, y'all got to keep in mind the Colts have only played 5 games. The Texans have played 6 games. So, I want to get to this because I want to talk about the importance of this matchup and some other underlying factors. So, real quick, 101, 101 carries, 470 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.7 yards a carry for Mack. 99 carries, 426 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.3 for Hyde. So not a lot of difference. I think just the difference with the Texans is, again, like I said, that dual-headed monster is whenever you need to spell Hyde, you have Johnson, and Johnson's making big plays when he does come in, making crucial plays, and like you said, coming up out of the backfield. Also, has been running the ball very well. Like I think that's a very underrated, because a lot of people say, "Oh, well, out the backfield, but he's ran the ball well, made plays."
Yeah.
I know Jay Dizzle loves it. Yes, guys that can actually, get the ball, make cuts, and in open field they can make guys miss. So, still respect to Lamar Miller. I ain't gonna talk bad about the man with the injury. I know how Jay Dizzle and some of you characters out there feel, but no disrespect. And then I'm gonna get to the wide receiver comparison real quick, and then, like I said, I'm gonna talk about what is, some of the underlying stories of this game that people may or may not be talking about that I think are relatively important. And so going into that, you're looking at the two guys now you have Hop with more catches, than Fuller, but I went with Fuller as far as the leading wide receiver because of overall production. So, of course, T.Y., 24 catches, 232 yards, 4 touchdowns, 9.7 average. You got Fuller with 33 receptions, 444 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13.5 average. Now, the reason especially I want to talk about Fuller is because which Fuller shows up today? We saw Fuller 2 weeks ago looking like a first-team All-Pro, and then you see Fuller last week looking like a guy who might have got cut from the practice squad, And so it's just about which Fuller shows up today. And again, I think he's going to find a middle ground. I'm not going to expect him to always be Atlanta Fuller. I'm not going to expect him to be, rookie Fuller like last week. It's important to see, which guy is going to show up today. And I guess with comparing both of those, and Kenny Steele's coming back, who do you think is going to be the single most important, one individual, the single most important player, not named Deshaun Watson, for this Texans offense today? And then same thing for the Colts offense. Who is going to be their most important player? We'll start with Wink, and then we'll get to Spitz on that one.
It's hard to really narrow that down, man. But I'm gonna say Kiki. I'm gonna say he continues his streak. I'm just gonna say it like we've had a coke killer over the last few years. DeAndre Hopkins has been killing the Colts too, but Kiki has been doing something, and the fact that he's so underrated, he's not game plan for. That's a mismatch waiting to happen, especially if they're in, in their base coverage. If he's out on the field and if they're trotting out 3 wide receivers, and if he's on the inside playing the nickel, anybody playing in the nickel, I'm playing in the slot today. I said the nickel, dumbass. Yeah, if we're playing in the slot, anybody who's playing in the slot today, I just feel like they're gonna be able to eat against whoever's, in any package that they're doing. If we're running overs, crosses, ins, outs, don't matter. We putting in work, and that's just how I feel.
Okay. Who's the biggest threat on the Colts?
Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson, man. Quentin Nelson, without him doing what he's able to do, the Colts don't get anything moving. They don't have the time to do anything, and if he's not playing well and if he's getting abused, watch Costanzo and watch how Ryan Kelly and Braden Smith fall off. If he's not playing well, I want that to be an integral part. And y'all watch 56 all game when he's on the field for the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. Spitz, man, your thoughts. Most important offensive player for the Texans, most important offensive player for the Colts coming up this game.
You said outside of Deshaun.
Yeah.
In today's game, I think it might be. I think it might be Fails. I think he's going to be, because he is a mismatch nightmare, especially in the red zone. There's nobody on the Indianapolis defense that can handle him in the red zone, and he's just a big target. And I just think that he's very underrated. We don't talk about him enough. And that's on everybody. Nobody talks about Darren Fields enough. Like, Darren Fields goes out there every week, quietly every week. He's just putting up 2 touchdowns, over 70 yards. Like, he making good crucial catches on crucial third downs or crucial touches in the red zone. He's a crucial part of this offense, and I think that he'll come up and pay big dividends today. And for the Colts, I think the thing that the Colts can do, they can stop the Texans today, is run the football. So there's Marlon Mack. If they let Marlon Mack get loose, that could be to the Texans' detriment, because they could control the ball and keep the ball out of Deshaun's hands. So I think the most important offensive player for them is Mack and controlling the football.
All right. And Brother says, should he start Hunter Henry or Fails? I would go together.
Start Fails, man.
I would go with Fails, straight up.
Start Fails. But who are the Chargers playing?
I don't even know. But the Chargers have been terrible.
They're playing the Titans.
They're playing the Titans?
Playing the Titans, yeah.
I'll go with Fails.
I start Fails, man. I start Fails.
Okay. So here's a couple of things. Like I said, so I want to get into a couple of the storylines surrounding this game. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. We 170 deep. We had a little bit more. Let me see where we at. How many likes we got, man? 60 likes. Come on, get that look. Come on, look. I don't care if you don't like shit. Come on, we 170 something deep. 60 likes, man. Let's get that number. We can get to. Can we get to 100? Come on, man.
120 at least.
You know what I'm saying? Look. Just the magic number. Hit that like button. The like button is free. But But like I said, I want to talk about. There's a couple of things. Like I said, I want to look into now. Me personally, people saying, "Oh, you've been hating on Bill O'Brien, Honcho. You just don't want to see him shine." Why would I not want to see this man shine if that means that my team is winning? Like I'm not convinced, and that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with the season. What people get upset is, I think with us at the round table, is that we don't fluctuate opinions based on one game. If you can say that, you can call them haters, you can call them whatever. But the one thing you can truly call us is consistent, because if we have an opinion, we tend to stick with that opinion until it's some type of dramatic change. And so you can't be mad at that. If we'd all flip flopped and said, "Oh, Bill O'Brien's the greatest coach ever. He's the best. He's this," and then the majority of it, well, what about y'all saying this? Y'all saying that? You can't be mad at me. You damned if you do, you damned before. Some people gonna say, "Oh, this, that, and the third." Some people gonna say, whatever they go. So no matter what you say, it's always gonna be a detractor. Somebody feeling.
And don't forget this, Honcho. You can give him credit, and because when they joined in the part of the video and didn't hear you say, "Oh, you didn't give Rank credit. You didn't give Bill O'Brien credit." Y'all did. Just revert back to the end of the video.
Yeah, and that's the
revert back to the beginning of the video.
That's the thing, like. And so the fact that we're objective on stuff, because again, unlike a lot of folks, we've been here since 2002. Like I tell you, my very first professional NFL game was the fucking Texans versus the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? And that's a memory I'll never forget. I've been a Texans fan before that, but that's a memory I'll never forget. I will always be a Texans fan through the good, through the bad, no matter what.
Right.
Now the thing is, yes, it's easy to sit here and say, I'm just gonna say only all the good stuff. And then when it does happen, I'll show up and say, "Remember I said this, remember I said that." Right. We are through the good, through the bad, because a lot of motherfuckers say a bunch of positive, and then when it's bad, motherfuckers jump ship, don't show up, stop watching games, don't come around.
Or they show up in streams months after we check them, and then they go back to their safe place on Twitter and their YouTube pages and act like they didn't say what we said and don't address anything that we had to talk about.
Exactly.
See, the problem is a lot of people, especially when it comes to sports, are very knee-jerk. Very reactionary, because you got some people who, after the Falcons game, saying Will Fuller's the best receiver on the team, and then a week later, the same people are saying you to cut Will Fuller. People are very knee jerk, and like they're so week to week. That's how you have people out here rating Baker Mayfield over Deshaun Watson. That's why you have a different MVP leader every week. Like on Monday, it's gonna be somebody different. Next Monday, it's gonna be somebody different. That's just how people are when it comes to sports. They're very knee-jerk. I'll tell you, somebody have a good-ass game or a bad-ass game, and that's going to sway somebody's opinion, and they're going to forget about everything else they've done.
Yeah, because, I mean, you got pundits who were not even talking about the Texans like that a couple of weeks ago, now saying the Texans they're the best team in the AFC. Ain't played the Patriots yet. Haven't overcome some hurdles that we need over. Right. I'm not going to jump on that. Are the Texans exceeding the expectations that I have? Absolutely. And guess what? Even if my prediction was, well, you predict, guess what? I'm still winning because my team is winning. So it's like, even if I may, if I may have had a different prediction,
really wrong about?
There's no L's here. You know what I'm saying? For being objective and feeling how we feel, and your team, there's no L's. So y'all can sit here and say you guys are negative, or you guys we're objective, taking a look at it, getting the emotions out of. Yes, we want to win every fucking game, but there's certain situations that say, this might be unlikely. This is a problem. This is something we need to work on. And what's wrong with saying that?
You know what's so great about that? We call it out before the national, local media, before anybody else says it. People will say whatever they want, but then, dudes curl up in their ball, they sit in their bathroom and cry, and they hate the fact that we be right about so much shit. If we weren't right about so much shit, we wouldn't be a local topic, and radio stations wouldn't be stealing content from us, and we at the bottom tier. We worked our way up, just getting opinions and just knowing the game of football, and most importantly, knowing what we have on this football team and who runs it, and we get this shit accurately. And it's it's not just us. It's a lot of fans. Well, not even fans. It's a lot of listeners of the show.
Exactly.
They see the same things we seeing. So how are we not seeing the exact same things? Some people choose to overlook certain topics and be like, "Oh, that isn't as equally as important." But hey, every fan has the right to be a fan they want to. I'm not tripping on how you want to be a fan. You can't trip on me how I want to be a fan. If you can do better than me, Get on the damn camera and make your videos, and we can discuss what you're gonna do. And you can't run and hide because we don't run and hide from nobody.
And we're
ready for that smoke.
And if you put it out there, we will be more than happy to have you come through, and we can discuss Larry. Because again, like I said, ain't never been no hating over here. Anybody who's doing anything, we've shown love and Sauce Sports. Like, come on now. Anybody saying anything different is just emotional. So, but like I said, a couple of underlying stories here. And like I say, me personally, great game against Kansas City.
Right.
Great game against the Falcons, except for I think the defense still gave up too much. I still have my issues with that. But I don't think Bill O'Brien is there yet because he won one game against Kansas City. One game don't get you the Hall of Fame because his track record shows that it's been less than successful. So my thing is for me to because again, I was Team Billy O all last year. And I held out. I mean, I was on that little thin string, but like I said, that playoff game broke it for me. Because this is what y'all got to say. Well, he didn't have this player. He didn't have that player. Drew Brees, probably one of the greatest of all time to play the game, has been out. What have the Saints been doing? Winning. Because that's what a coach can do for you.
Right.
You've seen it happen with Belichick. You've seen it happen with other guys. Listen, star players.
The Panthers right now.
Exactly.
The Panthers right now.
Keep winning. Bill O'Brien has never done that. So, but what happens is when you talk about, well, Bill O'Brien can't beat this team or can't beat this team. Well, he's got Watson. So is that Watson or is that Bill O'Brien? That's what I'm saying. Like, but then y'all don't want to give credit Watson. Well, it's because you got to make your mind up because you can't play both sides of the field. We need 12 more likes to get to 100.
Coach.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like we've given the man credit. Like, you can't take anything away from him, man. Like, and so the King.
We went 2 games. Oh, y'all saying bye, Bill O'Brien now? Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing.
If
like,
he fuck up, absolutely.
Because let me tell you, this is where it comes to. If he don't, in my opinion, he needs to sweep the Colts because of the things that happened last year, and especially with the talent level right now. There ain't no luck to do what he does and all that. You need to sweep the Colts. I expect a sweep of the Titans, and you have to beat the Patriots. For Bill O'Brien to prove to me that he's taking that next step, that's what I need to see. What you got there, Spitz?
I'm gonna tell you like I told this guy at work because he asked me the same thing after we beat the Chiefs. He said, "Oh, so you still want to fire Bill O'Brien?" I told him just like this. I'm like how Stephen A. was when LeBron first went to Miami. I don't give a damn what you do in the regular season. Come talk to me postseason.
Exactly.
Come talk to me.
I
don't give a damn what goes on right here. Talk to me in January. Talk to me in early February. That's what I want. That's why I want the conversation to talk.
And if we end up having,
I don't care about nothing else.
And watch this. Let us sustain a major injury. Watch how their excuses gonna say, "Oh, we didn't have this player." No, nigga. It's supposed to be next man up.
Exactly.
You can't say when Teddy Bridgewater and Kyle Allen, who can take over their respective football teams playing the most important position on the field, can go undefeated as soon as they take the helm. You have no excuse as a Houston Texas fan to sit here and talk and bloviate about injuries. Anybody saying that, you're a sucker.
And I'm not even a super Kubiak fan. And Kubiak sealed the playoff deal with T.J. Yates. And won a playoff game.
A third string rookie.
And that season was the epitome of next man up. You know what I'm saying? Because we was dropping like flies.
And blew out the game. And blew out the first team we ever played in the playoffs. And still hung with the Ravens after throwing 3 picks the following week.
Exactly.
Kobe Jones fumbled on the 1 yard line.
Man, and I'm still beefing with Jacoby to this day. I'm still beefing with Jacoby Jones for that shit, man. I ain't gonna never get over that moment right there. That was the chance. That was the closest that the Texans had to go into the AFC. But so
then the bitch goes to the Ravens and wins a championship with the Ravens the following season.
That was the insult to injury, man. That shit right there. But, we got a couple of things, man. Y'all know how we do, man. Y'all know if y'all true to this. 3 more likes. Let's get to that 100, man. 3 likes. We 175 deep. 3 likes. 3 y'all hit that like button. Mark my motherfucking words. And if you don't know what mark my motherfucking words is, it is a bold prediction. It means you go out on a limb, you make a prediction about a player or something that's going to happen in the game. I think Watson throws 2 touchdowns and has 232 yards. You got to go out on a limb, man. You got to make a bold. It can be about anybody. It can be about defensively. It can be offensively. A bold prediction as to something that's going to happen in this game. And then we're going to get the score prediction. So I want to get those in the chat, and then we're going to get it from the round table. But like I say, this one last thing is, I don't think y'all understand negativity in the sense in which y'all do. Again, a lot of y'all, I don't know what generation some of y'all are from, want that happy-go-lucky stuff all the time. It's not always happy-go-lucky because, again, like I say, because if we sat here and told you everything, again, was cake and ice cream and cookies, and it don't go that way, then when we sitting here looking like idiots with shit on our face because...
It's probably one of the most important, not to, I got to say this because what you just said. This is probably one of the greatest quotes I just heard over the last few weeks. It ain't hate. It ain't hate. Criticism, it ain't hate if you're providing, options to get better with shit. Like you can't criticize somebody without telling them what they can do to be better. Yeah. If you're just saying, oh, this nigga trash, and you're not providing a way that this team can be better, that's hate. Yeah. That you don't even know what hate is. Yeah. The moment you disagree with somebody, then that's perceived as hate. But that's the generation we in. Yeah. It sucks, and it's trending in the wrong direction because it's too soft. Soft.
We might have to boot that up in the deal because this is a whole different thing. Anything that is controversial, anything that is considered adversarial or a little bit of not even conflict, if it's just a slight disagreement, is hating because look, if you a real homie, you're not gonna let your homeboy, he's on some bullshit. You're not gonna let him be a crash test dummy. You're not gonna let him run head first into a wall on some dumb shit. The real homie gonna say, hey man, you fucking up, and this is what you need to do. But if you consider that hating. Because, again, if we didn't like the Texans, we wouldn't be talking about these motherfuckers every day. I don't think y'all be buying any Texans merch. This wouldn't be a Texans-only channel because, let's be honest, if the Soph start talking about all teams, because we've had fans from other teams that we play against, when we play against, and they stick around with the Soph, don't even give a fuck about Texans because they like to. If we started talking all NFL, the Soph would have been blew up. It would have been a bigger channel. It would have been a whole different conversation. Because I've seen bigger channels. After we played with the Cowboys, gave me some Cowboys channel. They started doing round tables. And some other teams that started doing shit like after they came through the sauce we were doing. And I started seeing some other stuff pop up. And you go back and you look at their history. They didn't start doing that until after we played them. So you know that people are looking and emulating. So all I'm saying is, man, I don't care about it. What they say, imitation is the highest form of flattery. I ain't even tripping on none of that shit. It's just like, the fact it's just insulting to sit here and say y'all aren't Texans fans, because we're not kissing Texans ass on everything. Do I think that they're going to win today? Absolutely. Let's get to mark my motherfucking words. But because we're not saying they're going to win every single game and go immediately to the Super Bowl when they're other teams. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. I'm not finna. Again, it's an emotional roller coaster. I'm not finna buy. I'm not saying I'm not buying all in. I'm rooting all in. But there's things and flaws that I see that I think can hinder us from going to a certain level, or if I haven't seen us produce in a certain way, then I'm gonna say, I'm gonna pump the brakes until I see a change. But we start with Spitz, man. Spitz, your thoughts, man. Mark my motherfucking words and score prediction.
Mark my motherfucking words that Ken Steele's gonna have, since this is his first game back, and I say we gotta set the tone early, he gonna have an 80+ yard touchdown. Ooh. And my score prediction is 28-17. Texas.
I'm not gonna make no defensive. I just want them to surprise me today. Yeah. What I want, Deshaun Watson is gonna complete 80% of his passes today. He's not gonna throw no interceptions. He's gonna have 3 touchdowns with 400 yards, and Darren Fields is gonna have like 3 touchdowns. Score prediction. I got this game. I'm gonna say this because it's been working the last couple of weeks. But I'm really meaning it for the other team. I'm going to say the Colts win 31-27, but we know I don't mean that. I mean that score for the home team. You know what I'm saying?
When we root for the other team, when he picked not root for the other team, but picked the other team, the Texans have been seeing some success, and sometimes you got to stick to those sports superstitions. Man, it's an interesting one. I think this game, Hop gets back on track. And I'm not saying that he's been off track. He's caught the crucial catches, the necessary catches to do what a number one receiver, what you depend on him to do. I know a lot of people think that it's always got to be about the big, huge yard numbers. It's not what it is. Number one receiver is the guy that you can depend on the most when it comes down to it, and that's what he does. But I think Hop goes off today because I think the Sears played. I'm not sure, but I know he's coming off an injury, so I think they still a little dinged up. And then if you got Steele, you got Kiki, you got Fuller, it's going to be hard to contain all these guys. I think they're going to be more concerned about them trying to stop the big threat. So I think Hop ends up giving you 9 catches for 115 yards, 2 TDs. I think Watson gives you overall a total of 4 TDs, and I think he gets 1 rushing because I think the Texans are going to make a statement this game to make up for some things. I think they were thoroughly embarrassed last year, and if they got any pride, and if they got the pride, the level of pride that I hope they have, clown mask and all, we didn't even talk about that. Even though that
Yep.
was coming to the house with it, we could talk about that. I think the Texans go out and get a total of. I think they're gonna put up 45 points today.
Damn.
45 points, and I'm gonna give out. I think they go out and put a dominant stamp on today's game, but at the same time, I think that the defense is a little bit shaky, and they end up giving up 31. So that's my prediction. I say it's gonna be 45. I'm going real high. Yes, Jay Dizzle, get the crack pipes out, get the blue tops out, whatever the fuck.
You know what? Since I'm being superstitious,
Hmm.
I can't predict no 30. I can't predict no 30-point game. I gotta stick to that.
No.
The Colts,
Mhm.
28. The Texans, 24.
Okay.
Got all today. I got all
Okay,
today.
okay. All right, there we go. All right, man. Well, look, here's the deal, man. Hey, I appreciate all y'all coming in. Make sure you tune in live immediately after game. We will be here for the post game show, man. We'll be taking calls and all that good stuff. If you're not you ain't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. This is the freshest flavor in H-Town sports. Make sure you subscribe to Sauce Sports TV. Gonna have a lot of Astros, Dynamo, Rockets content coming up. Rockets season starting next week, so you can get a lot of that. But hey, man, y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. Most of all, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. But hey, y'all stay saucy. Look, man, we out.
Perfect.